has the gold bull market restarted? While the rest of the financial industry was talking about all the other assets going up in the everything bubble, gold and silver in 2017 quietly had a pretty solid year. Gold finished 2017 up 13%, which is pretty solid, although nowhere near as compared to the rest of the asset markets. However, one of the major reasons why gold is probably rising, besides the fact that nothing was really solved after the 2008 financial crisis and all the different global central banks, as I mentioned in my video earlier this week, have papered over everything with tens of trillions of dollars in digital money and credit created out of thin air, is the dollar index. So the dollar index, I have the 2-year chart here, and the dollar index got as high in 2016 as around 102, 103. And really since then, it's been going pretty much down here on the 2-year chart. As you can see, and the dollar index is almost to 90. This is the 1-year chart on the dollar index. And this has been a general decline on the dollar index for 1 year from around 100, 101 with very few rallies. So it's been going pretty much down. And here's kind of a pretty big nosedive, although we don't know what the global central banks will do. I will point out, though, that if you look on a 10-year chart of the dollar index, that the dollar index is still, it hasn't crashed like some of these gold promoters and gold pumpers will say. So, the dollar index in general is quite a bit higher than it was 10 years ago, as you can see here on this chart. But if you go and look at the ETFs of the gold miners, so I like to use, rather than GDX and GDXJ, which are the two largest volume gold miner ETFs, I like to use the Sprott Gold Miners ETF, the SGDM, which is a well-designed gold miners ETF. You can see that basically in 2017, the miners had a nice big run-up, then they crashed again, then they bottomed in late 2017, and then they started to rally pretty strongly, and they've been rallying pretty strongly since. And the juniors on the 1-year chart, the Sprott Junior Gold Miners ETF, SGDJ, which if you don't have the money to buy individual stocks, I don't want to make any recommendations per se, but I do prefer the big 5 royalty and streaming companies like Franco-Nevada, Wheaton Precious Metals, Royal Gold, Osisko Gold Royalty, and Sandstorm Gold. Rather than buying any of the other individual miners, if you don't know what you're doing and you're not willing to pay for a paid newsletter, do your own due diligence, these ETFs, the Sprott ones, are very solid picks. I believe there's also a new royalty and streaming ETF that Frank Holmes, the U.S. Global Investors, just started as well. So yeah, it does look like that there was a pretty strong bottom here in the charts for the juniors. This is a pretty strong bottoming here in the charts, and a base out, and then it's starting to make higher lows. So I think, in 2017, while other asset prices did have much stronger returns, gold did start to put a very strong bottom in, and it did restart in a stealth kind of way its bull market. But there is the 1350 and 1400 and 1450 resistance levels. So we'll see if the cartel tries to smash gold and silver, paper gold and silver prices back below those levels. But it looks like gold is definitely going to test those 1350 and maybe even 1400 levels in the near future. You guys know I haven't sold any of my gold and silver mining shares. I did sell some of my companies and move more money into Sandstorm Gold, and I have been buying more physical silver. I did buy more physical silver when it hit 16-ish, about 2 months ago. When it got as low as around 16, I bought more physical silver. And I did add more Sandstorm Gold shares, but I sold some other positions in gold and silver miners to buy more Sandstorm Gold when Sandstorm Gold was around 3 something, because I thought it was really cheap, and I thought, gold had probably bottomed around there and it was going to go higher. So what do you guys think about the dollar and the dollar index, and what do you think about the gold prices? Do you think gold's gonna, on its first try, get back over 1350 and maybe head towards 1400? And what do you think about the dollar index here? Because we know, unfortunately, in the world we live in now, there is no free markets, especially currencies don't trade freely. We know there's a lot of intervention by central banks into currency markets, and we'll see what the Federal Reserve and other global central bankers do about the dollar